Welcome to the Landslide Scientific Assessment Conference. This is the story of LandScient, and for that I will need to tell my own story as researcher. My name is Roberto J. Marin, born nearly 33 years ago in Medellin, Colombia. Without any initial interest in a research career, I pursued civil engineering at the University of Antioquia, one of Colombia's top public universities. My first exposure to landslides came during a college course taught by Professor Edwin Garcia, but at the time my focus was on structural modeling, so I completed the course on slope stability without much extra engagement. However, Professor Garcia later invited us to an extracurricular course on landslides, led by Hernan Martinez, a Colombian professor from Brazil. This course piqued my interest in landslides for the first time. During the course, Edir Aristizabal presented a physics-based model for shallow landslides, which left a strong impression. I didn't realize then that he would become Colombia's top landslide researcher. Not long after that, in another college course, Professor Juan Pablo Osorio asked us to create a research proposal, and I chose landslides as my topic. My proposal focused on how vegetation affects slope stability using physics-based models. In the following semester, I began my undergraduate research project co-advised by Dr. Juan Pablo Osorio. Alongside a fellow student, Juan David Castro, we conducted research that resulted in awards and invitations to scientific events. Our work led to 3 published research articles. The pivotal moment in my research career came after graduation, while I was still working on publishing our results. I was offered a teaching position at the University of Antioquia for the numerical methods course at age 24. This role pushed me to refine my programming skills, which became essential for both teaching and my research. Around this time, I also started collaborating with Edir Aristizabal and Edwin Garcia, who were keen on my knowledge of the triggers physics-based model. Together, we researched the performance of triggers in a Colombian Andine basin, though it took nearly 4 years to publish our results. During this period, I came across a research article by Dr. Massimiliano Albioli on rainfall thresholds for landslides using triggers, which inspired me to delve deeper into the topic. While working with the early warning system of the Valle de Aburrá, a region that includes Medellin, I developed my first program to define rainfall thresholds for shallow landslides, using triggers and Python. At the same time, I began my master's in engineering at the University of Antioquia. In my first semester, I took a landslide hazard course with Professors Hernan Martinez and Edwin Garcia, who also invited Dr. Edir Aristizabal for a session. The course required us to conduct a real-world landslide risk assessment, for which I developed a Python code that used triggers to run thousands of simulations and perform a probabilistic analysis via Monte Carlo simulation. This research became my 4th published article, co-authored with Dr. Martinez and Dr. Garcia. This project also marked my first collaboration with undergraduate students, which was a rewarding experience. I honestly had low expectations of their contribution, but the fact that it was significantly impacting their lives and a real contribution to what was my research became one of the most satisfactory activities in my career. Additionally, we published multiple articles together, many in Q1 journals. This collaboration eventually led to the formation of the Semillero de Investigación LandScient, or the LandScient Research Incubator. In 2017, I was invited to join a large project led by the National University of Colombia to create landslide hazard maps for 7 municipalities in Antioquia. I led a team in applying physics-based modeling with triggers and performed a probabilistic assessment using the first-order second moment method. Some of the findings were published with Dr. Edwin Garcia as the principal investigator. After completing this project, I was invited by a geotechnical firm to use similar methods for other regions. I led a team in preparing official landslide hazard maps for local governments. Around this time, after finishing my master's degree and continuing as a lecturer, I published my first implementation of physics-based models for defining rainfall thresholds and began my doctoral studies. In 2020, I faced one of the most significant challenges in my life. After leading several important research projects, I decided, with the support of my brother Julian Camilo Marin Sanchez, to officially found LandScient as a company. Initially, I planned to offer the same services I had been providing as a professional, but under my own company's name. However, things did not go exactly as planned. At that time, my primary focus wasn't on building LandScient, even though it was legally established in Medellin in 2020. I was a PhD student, a lecturer, and a researcher leader, and lacked entrepreneurial experience. I knew that LandScient was more of a long-term project. In the same year, I married my wonderful wife, Paola, and took on new projects, including creating landslide hazard maps, still as Roberto J. Marin, not under LandScient. One of the most profound lessons I learned from my father is that every organization must have a clear, significant purpose. Through my experience working on landslide hazard projects for urban planning and early warning systems, I realized that my research and work should focus on saving lives. This became LandScient's mission, to align our work with the goal of saving lives. This is why we always emphasize be LandScient, save lives. Despite creating our website and establishing important contacts, my main priority remained to complete my PhD. I faced considerable financial challenges, so much so that I couldn't afford my third and fourth semesters. But my marriage approaching, I experienced God's miraculous provision, allowing me to complete my studies in record time. Although financial constraints pushed me to graduate quickly, I met all the requirements for the doctoral program by publishing 7 Q1 research articles, 6 of which were published before graduation. I completed my PhD in just 2 years, with my dissertation reviewed by international experts like Maximiliano Bordoni and Roberto Valentino, who are both speakers at this conference. Honestly, it was not just publishing Q1 articles that helped me achieve these milestones. It was God opening doors I never could have opened myself. One of the most challenging projects of my PhD was the development of the software LandScient EWS, in collaboration with Julian Camilo Marin Sanchez. Though this research wasn't published in a Q1 journal, and only this year I managed to publish it, it was one of the hardest research challenges I faced during my career. After getting married, I dedicated even more time to humanitarian and mission service activities, temporarily setting aside my research and my organization, LandScient. During this period, I continued as a lecturer at the University of Antioquia, a role I was able to maintain even after moving to a new city in Colombia, due to the shift to online classes during the COVID pandemic. This new city, Manizales, became the center of my next research challenges. I approached Dr. Janet Zambrano, the director of the city's early warning system, managed by the National University of Colombia, Manizales campus. There, I once again worked on national hazard maps and defining rainfall thresholds, now with a deeper appreciation for the importance of saving lives in everything I do. As I had already earned my doctorate and my wife and I had plans to continue learning abroad, I began applying for research positions in universities and research institutions worldwide. I was offered a position at University College Dublin in Ireland, where I worked for a little over a year on a project developing deterioration models for earthwork slopes. My supervisor, Mike Long, one of the most prominent geotechnical experts in Ireland, has made significant contributions to the field of geotechnical engineering. He is also a speaker at this Landslide Scientific Assessment Conference and will provide more insight into our important project in Ireland. Together, we co-authored 3 research articles, 2 of which have already been published in Q1 international scientific journals. Before moving to Ireland, I decided to organize an online free and open event about landslides. However, my lack of experience meant I prepared for it with only 3 months of planning, and the event coincided with my move to a new country far from my homeland, Colombia. On the same day I arrived in Dublin, I hosted the Landslide Scientific Assessment Conference, Landslide Hazard, in October 2022. Despite the challenges, the event featured many renowned landslide experts whose excellent presentations contributed to its success. Nearly 800 people registered. In 2024, I completed my work on the project in Ireland and chose to volunteer in Egypt, serving Sudanese people displaced by the war. I have been blessed by God to continue publishing research articles, serving as a reviewer for leading international scientific journals, and now organizing the most significant event in LandScient history. Thank you to all of you, honorable speakers, scientific authors, professors, risk managers, practitioners, professionals, and students. Together, we can all contribute to making this world a better place. It is an honor to chair this event, and, as with many responsibilities I've taken on in life, my main goal remains to save lives. There are countless ways to contribute, so I invite you all to present your scientific advancements, experiences, and knowledge. My message to you: be LandScient, save lives.